House of EdTech, Episode 7.
Hey everyone, this is the EdTech Maestro, and you're listening to the House of EdTech with Christopher Nessie.
Welcome to the 7th episode of the House of EdTech podcast. I am your host, Christopher Nessie. The House of EdTech is the podcast that explores how technology is changing the way that teachers teach and the impact that technology is having in education. My objective is to discuss the technology that is changing our classrooms and schools. You can count on the House of EdTech for information you can hear about today and use tomorrow. Because whether you use it or not, technology is changing the way we teach and how our students learn. Coming up in this episode of the House of EdTech, it is not just March Madness on the basketball court, it is also March Madness here in the House of EdTech. I'm going to share with everybody 4 apps and technology in my EdTech Final Four. So I have some really great tools that I'm going to be recommending and talking about a little bit later in the episode. I'm also going to be announcing, whatever we're going to call it these days, the next House of EdTech VIP. So I have a really great show in store for you. This isn't the episode I was planning, so in the spirit of authenticity and transparency, I had a completely different episode planned. And as I have learned for the first time, you have to be ready for anything when you're doing a podcast, which isn't all that different from being ready for anything when you're in your classroom with your students, especially when using technology. The internet goes down, the mice doesn't have the ball in it, or the keyboard is missing keys. As a teacher, we all know that you have to be ready for anything. So I was thrown a bit of a curveball this week. That's my first baseball reference here on the program. So I was thrown my first curveball and was able to quickly adjust late in the week, what I was then going to turn this episode number 7 into for everybody. So I hope you like it. And I will do my best to provide you with some great, compelling content in this episode. But before I get to my featured content, I do want to share with you a bit of news if you hadn't already heard, and if you're outside of the New York, New Jersey area, this would be news that you wouldn't have normally heard. But on Saturday, March 22nd, here in New Jersey, in Edison, James Monroe Elementary School was destroyed by a fire. And this fire, nobody was hurt. It was after hours again on a Saturday. This fire has destroyed the building and has now displaced about 500 K through 5 students, as well as the faculty and staff. And earlier this week, the Edison Public Schools were able to relocate the students and allow them to continue going to school to facilities at Middlesex County College here in central New Jersey. If you're interested and would like to make a donation to help out the students and the Edison community as they go through this tough time, having lost a focal point in the James Monroe Elementary School, you can visit the website www.edisoncares.com. And there will be a link in the show notes. And my thoughts go out to those in the Edison community, especially the teachers and the students. It's not an easy thing to go through anything like this, and I can't really imagine what it's like. So if you can find any way that you can help out this community and these learners and teachers, again, go to www.edisoncares.com. Also, I got a little bit of really good feedback this week, so I do want to give a shout out to Brett Jennings, and Brett is at bjenningsedtech on Twitter. And that's JENNINGS at bjenningsedtech. He gave me some really great feedback on Twitter back from episode 5, which was about tac.com, where I spoke to Andrea Trivisano. And Brett let me know that he did sign up for TAC, and he's really enjoying what TAC offers him. So thank you for the feedback, Brett. Glad you're enjoying TAC. And let TAC know what's going on and how you're using their website, which if you go back and listen to episode 5, you can hear my conversation with Andrea from TAC, and you too can learn how awesome TACK is. And that's TACKK.com. And now let's get to this episode's featured content. As I said in the opening for this episode, this wasn't exactly what I was planning to do for this episode. I was able to change it around and kind of restructure everything, found some really cool tools to recommend to you here. March is truly the month of madness, and it has put the madness front and center in the world of college basketball. I am sure all of your brackets were busted a few weeks ago. Mine is no different, as I did have Syracuse, Creighton, Louisville, and Michigan State in the Final Four. So to honor March Madness, here is my EdTech Final Four. These apps and sites actually represent 4 regions: the East, South, Midwest, and the West here in the United States. So let's get right to it. The EdTech Final Four. And hopefully this will be something I could do on an annual basis around this time of year. So let's get right to it. From the South region, I'd like to talk to you about FlipQuiz, and the website is flipquiz.me. FlipQuiz was created to provide educators with a quick and easy way to create game show style boards for test reviews in the classroom. Think Jeopardy, but this is way easier. Traditionally, these boards are created tediously using poster board, chalkboards, PowerPoint, or using dry erase markers on an overhead slide. The review questions are usually even written on a separate sheet of paper. With FlipQuiz, the questions are displayed on screen, and boards can be saved for later use. When you combine that with a well-designed board that's visually appealing and nice to look at, your students are more likely to be interested and stay engaged with an otherwise disjunct test review process. I've checked out FlipQuiz. It is definitely interactive whiteboard friendly, so whether you're using a Mimeo or a smartboard or any other type of interactive display, it'll look great on your big screen, which also makes it easy to then touch and interact with this board that's web-based. It's also my favorite type of recommendation, the free kind. You need to check out flipquiz.me. You can also connect with FlipQuiz on Twitter at FlipQuiz, FlipQuiz, and the creator of FlipQuiz is Marcus D. Burnett, and you can connect with Marcus at Marcus D. Burnett, and there's a link to all of this in the show notes, but definitely head over to flipquiz.me if you're looking for a great, easy alternative to your Jeopardy question style gaming in your classroom. Next up, from the East region. This is just really super cool. And once I found it, I shared it with every math teacher that I know, starting with my dad, the original Mr. Nessie. This is an app that is available for iOS and Android. It is called MyScript Calculator, and it's from a company called Vision Objects. This calculator for your Apple or Android device will perform mathematical operations naturally, recognizing, ready for this, your handwriting. Simply by writing down 2 plus 2, if you stop there, the app will then perform the calculation. And it does really intricate, higher level math. Sine, cosine, log, functions. It'll even do variables. You need to check this out in your appropriate app store, whether, again, it's iOS or Android. MyScript was the CES 2013 Mobile App Showdown winner with Calculator. Again, it's really easy to use. It uses your handwriting to write any mathematic formula. It recognizes it, turns it into a legible font, so your handwriting may not be the best, and it may not get any easier to write when you're using, your handheld device, whether it's a tablet or, your iPod, cell phone, whatever the case may be. It recognizes the handwriting and then allows you to easily edit and continue to add to whatever mathematical equation you are doing. So from the East region, you need to check out MyScript Calculator. And as a bonus, check out the other recommended apps that they do, which are all rooted in recognizing your handwriting on your device. They have another one that is MyScript Equation, I believe, and it doesn't solve the mathematical formula, but will take your, let's say your chicken scratch handwriting on your handheld device and convert it into a legible font that you can either export the image, which you could then put into, say, Word or another type of editor to neatly put those mathematical equations, or you can also export it into LaTeX or Math ML, the math markup language, which you can then embed on your website and other web-based applications. Out of the West region, this is not going to surprise anybody, but out of the West, we have Evernote. And if you've not heard of Evernote, get out of the rock you're living under, because Evernote is awesome. And I have just of late in the last couple of weeks really started to dive into Evernote. I'm sitting here looking at my show notes and some of the scripting on Evernote. It's a suite of software and services designed for note-taking and archiving everything. It's no coincidence that their logo has an elephant on it. Elephants remember everything, and Evernote can help you remember everything that's important to you. A quote-unquote note can be a piece of formatted text, a full web page, or a web page excerpt, a photograph, a voice memo, or a handwritten quote-unquote ink note. Notes can also have file attachments. Notes can be sorted into folders and then tagged and annotated. Annotate your pictures, search the pictures, export as part of an entire notebook. Your notebooks can then be virtually combined into stacks. So basically anything that's related, you throw it into Evernote, you tag it, and it's just there forever. Evernote you can get for free for Android and iOS. They also have a premium version where you get more storage and a couple of more bells and whistles. For example, being able to take a picture of a business card and then have Evernote basically scan the business card, the name, the phone number, all the information, and make it really easy to use. It supports a number of desktop platforms, including OS X, the Chrome OS, and obviously you can use it on Windows. It's available for Windows Phone, BlackBerry. Search Evernote in your store. Give it a try. Evernote also offers online synchronization and backup. So you make a note on your phone, it syncs to your desktop, vice versa, whatever device you're logged in on, and storing the notes that you make, it's going to be available to you wherever you go, which is really, really cool. And again, Evernote is free, but there is also a pay option for about $45 a year to get some extra bells and whistles. But even if you just go with free, and that's pretty much what I'm doing now, you can do a heck of a lot with Evernote. The last one, this is really for fun. I'm not sure how you can totally work this into education, but you could definitely work it into your personal life. And if you show it to your kids, I'm sure there are definitely applications to using the card table out of the Midwest region, our last region, in your classroom. The card table is an app I just found for Apple devices. It's not a card game. It's every card game from their website. Card table gives you a virtual deck of cards and lets you play all of your favorite card games. The iPad becomes your table, and the iPhone in your hand becomes your hand of cards. And you can pass cards between the devices. I tried it with my wife, downloaded the app onto the iPad. She has an iPod Touch, and it is really cool to basically be able to have a virtual deck of cards. As a side hobby, I do have an interest in card magic, so it's only a matter of time till I start to see videos on YouTube using this app to do card magic. Your players can access the cards between their devices. You can flip cards over, bring back cards into the deck, shuffle the deck. Basically anything you can do with a regular deck of playing cards that you can hold in your hand, you can do with this app, the card table. You're able to play dozens of your favorite card games: poker, blackjack, hearts, bridge, rummy, one of my favorites, Old Maid, spades, Go Fish, and pretty much any other card game you can think of that you would do with 52 cards. And it's free. So head into the iTunes store and look up the card table. Those are my final four, the EdTech final four. To recap: FlipQuiz.me, MyScript calculator, Evernote, and the card table. So Check out all 4 of those apps. Definitely leave me feedback and let me know what you think. Let's meet Episode 7's VIP. I'd like to introduce everybody to Mr. Rich Kiker. Mr. Kiker is the Director of Online Learning for the Palisades School District in Kintnersville, Pennsylvania. He is an award-winning architect, designer, and director of the Palisades Cyber Academy. Rich is a top-rated Google certified trainer, and he consults in districts around the country on Google Apps for Education, as well as Chromebook deployment. He is knowledgeable in the areas of inquiry design, as well as one-to-one programs. Rich is also the owner of Kiker Learning. I first met Rich personally on March 22nd at the New Jersey Association of Educational Technologies one-to-one symposium, where I attended his Chrome Apps and Extensions Slam workshop. It was really great to meet Rich after interacting with him a little bit on Twitter, kind of get to pick his brain about Google and all the things that he enjoys about what they're doing. Rich Kiker is this episode's House of EdTech VIP, and you can connect with Rich on Twitter at rkiker, Kiker, and head over to Rich's website, kikerlearning.com. Rich Kiker, you are the House of EdTech VIP. Well, that's going to do it for the month of March and this episode of the House of EdTech. I am Christopher Nesi. Please keep the conversation going and visit my website, mr.chrisnesi.com. You can check out the show notes for this episode at mr.chrisnesi.com/2014/houseofedtech7.html. If you have questions or comments, please send me a voicemail, which I would love to feature on a future episode. You can click the Speak Pipe button on my website, or you can call 732-903-4869. You can also email me at nessie.history@gmail.com, or tweet at me, that's the fastest way, at Mr. Nessie, and use the hashtag HouseOfEdTech. If you enjoyed the show and future show or previous shows, please rate and review the podcast on iTunes and Stitcher. Your 5-star rating and positive review will help keep the House of EdTech front and center for others to discover. Be sure to come back for the next episode, scheduled to be released on April 13th, 2014, when I will talk to one of New Jersey's most tech-savvy and forward-thinking education leaders, Superintendent Jay Eitner. I'm looking forward to a great conversation with Jay, and I would like to thank you all for listening. And remember, using technology isn't difficult. Just give it a try.